Now, Tiffany Gaines, host of the Secrets Podcast. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified of any instance that I upload a new video to my YouTube channel. I appreciate the support thus far. I love comments. I love it when people jump in the comments and there's a little conversation going back and forth. I love to know people's thoughts. And I just kind of want to see how far off base I am with what sort of the community of people think who are on YouTube. But yeah, like and subscribe. Now, I talked about one of my favorite human beings, one of my favorite men. I have two favorite men. One is Draymond Green. Um, I just did a video on Draymond Green. My other favorite man human being is Shannon Sharpe. I love Shannon Sharpe. I think he is funny. I think he is charming. I think he has a boyish, shy element to him that's underneath all the hulk and the muscle, underneath his tone and strong, assertive nature that he can be. Right? I love Shannon Sharpe, and I am so thrilled and happy that his success has blossomed and is booming now that he has gotten away from Fox and Undisputed. Now that he's on First Take, and really, regardless of First Take, right? Because Shannon Sharpe's on that thing 2 days a week, and there are 50,000 other people on there with them, he and Stephen A. And I said when Shannon Sharpe first moved to First Take, I was like, Shannon's a star, Stephen A is a star. I didn't get how First Take was really going to be a blow up, and I just thought it was too much. And First Take is the number one show, I guess, number one sports show on morning television, because of Stephen A being a star alone by himself. But I just thought it's not enough Shannon for me. But I love Shannon. He's got Nightcap with Ocho. He's got Nightcap with Gil now. I love that. Looking forward to watching that on Wednesdays. But I'm happy for his success, and especially after Fox dismissed him. I think that's clear to everybody now. If you don't know that, Shannon did not just say deuces. Fox really just was like, you know what, it ain't working out. And whether that was Skip's voice or whether that was Fox's voice, whether it was the things that Shannon did, the Laker game antic, he and Skip clashing on set, Shannon not showing up for work the day after the Damar Hamlin situation at the game last year when the young man was had to be brought CPR was performed on him on the field, and Skip said what he said. Shannon did not like it, and he did not show up for work the next day for whatever reason. Fox dismissed Shannon, bought out his contract. We thought Shannon left. Fox really just kind of showed him the door, and boom. What you think now, Fox? That's another podcast. But all of those glorious things about Shannon, the one thing that I think that I would love if Shannon pulled back on. Shannon's a former athlete. I wish he would understand that everybody isn't him. Everybody isn't you, Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe has an impeccable work ethic. He believes in excellence. I believe that he, from a distance, he seems to be accountable in the ways that he, I guess, talks about his morals, his standards. He seems to be accountable. If it's something that he is saying that someone else should have, I believe that that's the standard that he has for himself. I don't think he double dips. I don't think he's two-faced. And hey, you should display this type of behavior, discipline, and excellence. And he's not that himself. But I think the difference is he is above average. And it is the reason that Kobe said he could never coach. It is the reason Michael Jordan said he can never coach, right? Because, and Shannon Sharpe has said, because I think people's asked, because he and Dion have a certain relationship, right? Why don't you go and coach with Dion, or coach, period? Because Shannon Sharpe's excellence in his football knowledge. Shannon said, no, he can't. I don't have the patience, right? Bingo. But he's on television and he is critiquing current athletes and with that level of impatience. And I think sometimes it's just whoa, boom, heavy, right? Sometimes it's on point, but you would never think that a former athlete would have. It's not that you would never think. There are some former athletes who have high standards for excellence, and that's just period and paragraph. I think one of the reasons that well, who knows why Michael Jordan's not in commentating? I don't know. And I wish that we would have gotten a chance to see if that was a direction that Kobe chose to go. Because but I just believe that Kobe, and because he's done commentating before, he's been a guest on TNT before. There's just a certain level of, even in excellence, that you could critique people, right? You can critique players. I think Shannon Sharpe just lacks grace in that area. And for as much as the thing that I find so interesting about Shannon Sharpe is that he has a high level of critique, a strong tone of critique, but he is super sensitive when people, even folks like me or just regular folks on Twitter, jump in his comments and criticize his take. He will get on and opine about it, but he opines about it in a chest beating type of way. His tone's elevated. Um, his words are sharp, you know, pun intended, right? Um, he's just kind of harsh. He's harsh, in my opinion. And the latest example of that, Jameis Winston. Now, I'm not necessarily a Jameis Winston fan, but the last play of the game on Sunday, coach called for victory formation, meaning, we're going to run out the clock. They were up huge. I don't exactly remember the deficit that they were up over the Falcons. And the players got on the field, and there was a conversation. Jameis Winston is the quarterback on the field at the time, and as the quarterback on the field, you were the leader of the offense, right? And so there was conversation in the huddle that said, hey, we got to call a victory formation. What do y'all want to do? We want to get this young man, the running back, a touchdown. And so they overruled. They still lined up in victory formation, giving the physical signal to the other team, hey, we're just riding out the clock because now we're in victory formation and nobody's really trying on defense. They're in victory formation. We're going to fall back. We're going to concede defeat here. But then they run it in for a touchdown. It's kind of Bush League, give an impression that of somebody that you're not going to hit them and then you hit them, right? Just kind of disrespectful as an opponent to a team, right? And so, and he stood proudly in the locker room saying, yeah, well, and DA, and I just, why are you calling your coach DA? I didn't get that. But yeah, he called victory formation, but we made a decision as a team. I mean, he kind of stood with authority in that. And it's like, okay, well, what are we saying about our coach? Do we not respect the words of our coach? Is our coach not the ultimate leader of this entire team, not just the offense? Jameis, are you as the backup quarterback, the leader of the offense and of the team? You're the backup quarterback. Derek Carr is the quarterback. So, but Shannon Sharpe said Jameis Winston has a loser mentality, and that's loser football, and I would cut him. I was like, dang, what? He's got a right to his opinion on that for sure. And I believe if that was Shannon, based on the stories that he's told about who he was as a teammate, I absolutely believe that Shannon Sharpe as a teammate would have had a serious problem with Jameis Winston. If Shannon Sharpe was that young man's coach, he would be off the team. But is there no grace is what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't discipline Jameis. You can fine him, but to dismiss him altogether, I don't know. And it was just the way. And it's not even that decision. It is just the way and the tone, right? It's as though there's no grace there, right? He has a level of perfection and discipline for himself, but he is really kind of the anomaly. I would say even amongst athletes, even amongst all professional athletes, you're the 1%. Because you've made it to the professional level, you're the 1%. So many people played sports in high school and college and little league. Everybody doesn't make it. There are fields across the country that are full of little kids on weekends. Soccer, football, baseball, basketball. Everybody's not at the professional level. So you got to be excellent to get to the professional level, the 1%. And even in sports, everybody doesn't have the same level of discipline. There are those who rise to the top. You got your LeBron James, you got your Michael Jordans, you got your Kobe Bryants, right? Those who just kind of have a different mindset, even amongst their teammates. They're up here with intellect, they're up here with discipline. And I would imagine there's a player like that or a couple players like that on every team, but it's not the entire team. And you can set that standard as the leader, right? But that's for the saints to do. and but it's like, and so I feel like though, and so in transitioning sort of to Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Club Shay Shay, right? We know about the Cat Williams interview. Excellent, by the way. I don't understand people getting on Shannon. What was he supposed to do? Steven Jackson, you just ain't even telling the truth what you would have done in that situation. Just stop that. But most people, and this is one of the instances, it's probably the only instance where I call Shannon a hypocrite, right? He received the bulk of the comments about that interview were praise to Shannon. And he as much admitted it on his Nightcap podcast with Ocho Cinco. He said, I got 400 compliments and I'm on here opining. Essentially, he didn't say opine, but he was complaining about 4 people who had something negative to say. But when I say he went in on Steven Jackson, he didn't say Steven Jackson's name on his podcast, but he was talking about Steven Jackson. But he went in on Steven Jackson. And I just didn't even think Steven Jackson said what he said with heat. Steven Jackson said, I wouldn't have let Cat go in like that, because we rock with some of those people. That's what he said. Because we rock when we would have stopped it. No, you wouldn't, Steven Jackson. That your producers wouldn't have even allowed that, because at the end of the day, the name of the game is to promote and elevate your show. And to promote and elevate your show, you need ratings. And if Cat Williams was going off like that on All the Smoke, you would have been over. They would have told you, shut your mouth, right? And matter of fact, when you went live talking about that, I couldn't find that video on your little platform. So somebody must have told you to take it down, because what were you doing? Driving traffic to Club Shay Shay, which is the opposite of what you're supposed to do, right? Thus and therefore, that's something else. But Shannon Sharpe was going off so hard on Steven Jackson, off on the critics, harshly, right? Harshly, because they had dared to say something about him and his effort. But in the same way, Shannon, that is what you do on your platform, First Take, your platform on Nightcap. You go in hard. And so someone else going in and criticizing you, you should be able to absorb that blow, because one of the things Shannon says is that nobody says anything when they get praise. You're not saying anything when you get the praise. And so now you're upset when you get criticism. Shannon, the mirror, it's right here, buddy. It's right here. You do say thank you with the praise, but with that comes some criticism too. The higher you elevate, the more haters you're going to have. But the way he went in on Steven Jackson, it was though the praise didn't even mean anything, right? He didn't go on and on about how much support he'd gotten, how much people have said, congratulations on this, this, and this. He went in on the haters, and he said specifically about 4. And I was just like, whoa. But you want to cut Jameis Winston. So it's like, manifesting energy. We're manifesting at all times, whether we want to or not. Manifesting isn't just, a goal. I want to manifest a successful life and a marriage. You're manifesting every second of the day. Whatever energy you put out circulates and returns, because you are explaining to the universe, this is what I like. I like heat and I like heavy criticism. Boom, comes right back at you, right? If you are vibing if your love, if you are vibing at a frequency of love, then love returns. If you are vibing at a frequency of hate and heat with it, yeah, it's coming back, right? You can't just expect energy to ignore the way you throw it out. Energy returns in the way that it's given. That's why, the Bible, you reap what you sow, you get what you give. And so I just found it fascinating that Shannon Sharpe doesn't see himself in those instances. He has a very difficult time taking criticism because he believes in everything that he does. He prepares well and he gives his best effort. And kudos to you, Shannon, for doing so. We should all, you know, strive to be great in that way. I just said a little while ago, I need to be more disciplined in my effort to have a great YouTube channel. I receive that. But if you're gonna be harsh in your critique, do not be surprised when the harshness, the tone of it returns to you. I think that that is one area where Shannon could do a little introspection. I think he can do a little inward look and say, you know what? I'm above average and I can't expect everybody to be me. That's just one area where I think Shannon Sharpe could just kind of say or realize about himself. You're above average, Shannon Sharpe, and everybody is not. You're the 1% of the 1%. I believe in effort and discipline, and excellence. I really do believe Shannon Sharpe is the 1% of the 1%. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, it is just a certain aura of success, that I feel like Peyton Manning had this. He was just impeccable in preparation. Peyton Manning was impeccable in his mindset and thinking about football. Tom Brady, that type of mindset. Those are the 1% of the 1%ers, right? Jerry Rice was a 1% of the 1%. Time, effort, preparation, discipline, commitment. Those guys are just sort of whoa up here. And so those guys also probably they don't really have the lens and the mindset to really process anything below their threshold that they have for themselves. But I just don't think that most people rise like that. It is something different in them. And I think that you have to know yourself well enough. Kudos to Michael Jordan for knowing, hey, I can't coach. Kudos to Kobe Bryant. Nope, I can't coach. I think Kobe could coach girls, right? Because he knew that he probably can pull down his temperament and his lens and his voice with girls because he was a girl dad. And so he knew that he could be softer and deliver in that way. But even with Kobe and coaching his daughters, he still had a certain Mamba expectation from them, right? But he knew that that's where he could provide a little grace. He would never have coached his girls as hard as he would coach a boy, right? And maybe that's why Kobe never had a son. I don't know. I just, it would be great to kind of see that. I would love to have Kobe to have had it, but that's and therefore. But I'm just saying the realization to know what you can't do. And I think Shannon, you're an anomaly. There are other people like you, but the sport that you analyze and critique for a living, most of those guys are not you, sir, or not. Or not. And I think that the observation that you could not handle that criticism well about your Cat Williams interview, I wish that you would kind of understand what that felt like, what the heat of the four people that you talked about who criticized you. It's like, you took offense to them criticizing you because in your mind you prepared, in your mind you thought you were excellent, in your mind you thought you did your best. Well, Jameis Winston has a right to feel that he did that too. Now, I'm not saying that Jameis Winston was correct in defying his coach, but I just think that there's a way and a heat and a tone. What you have to realize is there's always a way to do something. There's always a way to communicate. There's always a way to deliver. And I don't think Shannon Sharpe's method in which he chooses to communicate through criticism is always well received. It's, you know, the level of admiration that he has and the heat in which he delivers his expectation. Whoa, woo, man. I mean, Shannon Sharpe's son doesn't play sports, and I wonder why. He has a son, doesn't play sports. I wonder why. The level of expectation, could it be? Right? So, that is just kind of the one thing that I wish Shannon would just kind of pull back on. Just dismissing a dude from the team. Come on, they didn't do that to Draymond. And it does say, I mean, Jameis Winston is still on a roster. And a lot of this is probably Shannon's personal feelings about Jameis Winston. Maybe he knows something different about Jameis Winston. But I just think other athletes, other football players in his peer group, Shannon's peer group, I just don't think that they would feel that way. I think a lot of them feel like that's a little harsh. But he doesn't recognize. He knows he's excellent, but he doesn't see that his critique is from that level. And I just think sometimes if you're going to be a teacher, you have to know who your classroom is, who your students are. You have to know who your audience is, if you're writing a book, if you're doing anything. But or just have a realization that, hey, this is what I would do. And nothing wrong with saying I think Jameis should be. But man, you got to pay attention to how you give something to someone. Pay attention to what you're getting in return in your life. Look around at what you are receiving in your life. And think about, what did I give someone else, and how did I give that same thing to someone else? The power of manifestation is all around us every day in everything that we do. And if we're not paying attention to what we're receiving, we have no idea what we're putting out. Pay attention to what you're getting. If you're getting a universal return of goodness in all areas, then you might be on the right path. But if you are getting some things that you don't want any part of, okay, well, what am I? Where am I vibrating? Where am I vibrating? If I'm getting this in return from this person, then where am I vibrating in that area? If I don't like how that feels, then take a look around and maybe see what you're putting out. And I'm just saying, Shannon Sharpe does not like criticism, but he has a heavy hammer when he gives it out. That's all I'm saying. Other than that, I love the dude. I subscribe to all of his podcasts, all of his YouTube channels. My subscribe button is on, and I watch them all the time. Don't miss an episode. But if you don't like how something feels, Shannon, take a look at how you're handing it out. You don't like pie in your face, but you, boom, we can all communicate. It's just how we communicate, right? We can all criticize, but how we criticize. And if you don't like the return of that, don't give it out, right? Stephen A is the same way, by the way. But yeah, Tiffany Gaines, host of the Secrets podcast. Please hit like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, right? All right. Peace, everybody. Wonderful day to you.